Hello everyone, this is the first and introductory session on the Interpersonal and Counselling Skills module of your foundation degree in either care practice or positive practice with young people. And the idea behind this short little video is to introduce the course to you and to say something about the aims and objectives of the course. The course will enable you to develop the listening skills that you've already got, so that you become an active listener and you develop a way of helping people by using your active listening skills, by developing your sense of empathy, and by applying a problem-solving model from the work of Gerald Egan and his book, The Skilled Helper. So that's the idea of the course. In the first session, you'll have an opportunity to reflect on how you are as a listener at the moment. And I'd invite you to consider what you do well as a listener and perhaps what you don't do so well. And it may be that this is the first time you've considered the fact that when you're listening to someone tell you a story, you spend maybe some of the time waiting for them to stop so that you can make your contribution, or you become bored or disinterested and go into maybe a trance and think about your shopping and about other things that are going on in your life. Or it may be that the person is speaking about a problem and some of the things they say touch your buttons. They say things that cause you to remember problems that you've had in your life, and a rubber band effect takes place where you're catapulted back in time and you start to think of the problems that confronted you at that time, and that makes you unavailable to listen to the speaker who you're listening to. So that's the first session, if you like, an opportunity to really think about how you perform as an active listener. In the next few sessions, I'll be wanting to show you some active listening skills. We'll talk about how people can build rapport. That means develop the relationship so that there's trust and intimacy there. And with that trust and intimacy comes an opportunity or an invitation for someone to talk at a much deeper and more meaningful level about their problems. So in the second session we'll talk about how to build rapport, and that will include some information about non-verbal communication and mirroring the speaker so that rapport begins to increase. We'll also look at two other ideas. One of them is called refraining, which is where you put onto one side your own concerns. And the other idea is called attending, which means really listening to the other person and to what they're saying. In other active listening skills classes, we'll develop the skill of paraphrasing, of reflecting feelings, of asking useful questions, and also of summarising what the person said so that they realise and they understand that you know what they're talking about. So at the end of those sessions you will have developed some really crucial active listening skills. Then we're going to look at the work of Carl Rogers, and particularly his ideas about the core conditions, because he believed that it was sufficient to provide people with empathy, with respect, with a non-judgmental approach, with something he called unconditional positive regard, and which we might call love. He thought that if you could provide these conditions, then people would naturally overcome their problems and start to grow and develop again as human beings. So that's the second thing we'll want to do. So that not only are you using your active listening skills, but that you're using them with empathy, with care, with respect, and with a non-judgmental attitude. The next thing I want to do is to look at a model of helping that was devised by Gerald Egan in his book, The Skilled Helper. So this will give you a framework which you can use to take people through a problem-solving approach. At the end of those 10 weeks, you'll have an opportunity to pull all these different skills together before we go on to the assessment. So that's the philosophy of the course. Assess where we are in terms of our listening skills, learn some key active listening skills, learn how to apply them with empathy and understanding using the models devised by Carl Rogers, learn a framework for applying those skills to help people solve problems, and then bring it all together so that we become much more skilled in the way that we listen and the way that we help. And that's the idea behind the course.